Hello and welcome, dear D-Trix users. In this tutorial, I want to show you the special aspects of working with default values in the profile. I have created a structure here, and here I have already loaded a large set of default values and have adjusted these values according to my wishes here. So not just for the roof framework, the rafter height for example, here it is set to 20 or the distance between base horses on the ground is 0, meaning the base horses are currently on the outer edge of the wall. Or, just to mention a few values here that we'll see shortly in the profile. The recoil of the Princess tongs here is a centimeter, but also here already values for wall construction, ceiling structures, window doors and so on. I'm clicking OK and have already entered walls here. We're now in the roof layout. And here I've outlined my house. Now I'll choose the route of covering the sides of the house with a profile. And this profile, I want to create a new now. That means I go here into this dialog box, adopt profile, and hit the button. New, and it opens for me. A new profile live. I choose a template that I've put together for this example. For a single-sided profile. I want to adopt it.
That's what I call
Position 1. Okay. And we see, first comes the query. Should default values from the current building be adopted? The values are adopted, but no new default values are added. This means the structure from which I create this profile give me the preset values, and only the values are adopted, not the default values that are not yet defined in the profile here. We'll see what that means in a moment. I'm clicking yes. I have a smaller set of preset values here in the profile. I have reduced it only on the functions I need here for the profile. I now only get values for these variables from the structure. All others that we've just seen, tools for example, or for the windows, they are not included here, and I only have what I need. Here we see that 20 is saving height. With the fat one we had this distance at the base at 0, and for the throat tongs and collar beams we had the setback here at 1 centimeter. Click OK. Now I am tailoring my profile template to what I need for this building. I'll go to the floors here. For instance, in the attic, I want a wall execution, specifically timber frame construction. This exterior wall would be with the composite system. Of course, I only choose settings here that also process default values. That's what we see here. At position 0, the wall construction is just like that. The specification is used. The one here is backed up. And it comes straight from the building. Then I'd like to have a ceiling construction here. Specifically a variable collar beam ceiling as a border ceiling up here in the roof. Here too, we see that default values are processed. And the height of this ceiling is at 2.7 meters. Then I have a ground floor here. I don't need it for this example and I will delete it right here. Regarding roof design, I would like a different roof surface finish. Specifically from this first group, I want to start with attention. We see once again my default values are processed here. Now to the components. For the rafters I want 2 sections. And here with a right angle and the height of the head above %. For the third round I want to reference the length along the verge edge with 2 sections. For the footplate I choose the setting again in length reference to the eaves edge. And again 2 sections. In the profile we see the horseback is used. This is the value that comes over the preset value and is reflected here in this setting at this point.
the central purlin.
Again, middle chain, length referring to the eaves edge and two sections, okay. And finally, I want to define the throat tongs. Here in the tongs input, I want a connection with bolts at the rafter only.
Petri keine.
We have the throat tongs in here. And then I want to take a ridge tongs from this group, specifically a double one. So with these few clicks, I've already customized this profile, because all the values that are used further down in the settings, for example, if we look here at the connection, now we start to save. Here in shape we see the abbreviation. This default value is used. It means simply by using with the provided settings, which have anchored all the preset values, I've completely adjusted my profile with just a few clicks. If I want to change something now, let's say I've just noticed, oh, my wall execution. Here are the wooden stands. The insulation is on the outside. Now my base plate mostly sits on the insulation. I didn't think that was correct. Now I have several options. For example, I could, here in this setting, you can simply overwrite the distance at the base. Or I could describe the same value, which is also shown here in the profile. If I do this right now, 0.11, we see immediately the entire profile reacts. This means there is a difference compared to the structure. In the structure, when components are inserted, and default values are used for these insertions. However, after the insertion, the connection to the default values interrupted. That means the component has a fixed value and is thus complete. It behaves differently in profile. In the profile, by changing the values, the profile is recalculated directly. And I get the custom version here. Now, overriding this default value, this use default value, is an option. I'll remove it again. I want to take a different approach. That is, to correct the value directly in the default values. Do we have the base distance for the foot here? Okay. We can see here again, the profile reacts immediately recalculating the components and the whole setup. The value is displayed correctly here, and of course here as well. The advantage of this approach, however, is that I can now take this default value back into the building and correct it there. Because I always want to work with, continue working with the current corrected default values, both in the profile and in the structure. You can show this with another example of what happens in the profile. For example, with the rafter height. If I take 24mm rafters here, I'll go ahead and click OK, and the component changes immediately here. We see that here as well, to 24. But also the other place where the pre-device is used, namely here in the roof design. And of course, everything also comes into the building correctly. Just one last example. I would like to set the cutback from the fist pliers to 2 cm. Okay. I'll change that in the default setting and not directly here in the pliers. Because if I'm in construction, pliers are not only made from profiles, but can also be manually added. I would like that the correct default value is continued to be used here. We have 2 cm here, so this profile is ready for now. I'll save it and close it. Come back to building PR1. I will take over for both sides. Okay. And I'm only changing the gable ends to my roof overhang. Okay. And here I have finished my roof layout calculation. Now I come to what I just mentioned. I have now applied the profile here. And when I insert the components from the profile, they all naturally get the correct values. However, I also want to update the default values here, meaning I open the dialog box for the default width. Here, take over from another position. Select the profile here. Okay, and now, important. I choose this button here below to replace only existing variables. This is what happens again, what we have just seen in the other direction, namely from the profile. Only the variables that are defined here in the structure will be updated with the new values. The other default values that might be in the profile are not considered here. Thus, I have the right preset values here and can continue working with them. I would like to show this briefly here. For the rafters, we have a height of 24, as we just modified in the profile. For positioning the sol plate, we have 11 centimeters here, and the third value we changed, which was the rebound from the Fritz-Zangen, we have here the 2 centimeters. So as we see, the default settings that we adjusted in the profile could be easily incorporated here in the fallback. And now we can continue working at the same level, so to speak. I hope I was able to show you how default values can be specifically applied in connection with profiles. Regardless of the chosen approach, the default values also allow for consistent and effective working here. It's important to note that structural and profile positions each have their own default values. Those that are to be used in both positions must therefore be actively adopted, which is effortlessly feasible as just shown. I thank you for watching, and as always, see you next time.